And maybe when we apply AI properly, we can automate it to do it even better than you have been doing. And that sounds like a little bit insulting sometimes, but it's just true. If you don't take the lead on this and don't leverage it as a tool, because that's really all it is, someone else will. And unfortunately, they're going to outperform you every time.
I always like to start these things with a quote, and today I have the most famous one that's been used the most in recent time. AI won't replace you, someone using AI will. And today I have Roberto with me to talk a little bit more about that. He's the co-founder of Best Media Agency. He's a smart AI marketing and automation expert. He transforms businesses into lead generation powerhouses. He blends artificial intelligence with sharp marketing strategies to deliver immediate results. Roberto, how are you today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Now we'll talk about I don't think it's a hot topic anymore. This is more like the aftermath of AI is here. This is what it does, and people are kind of dealing and living with it. And like I said, the most used one is AI won't replace you. Someone using AI will. So before we go into all of that, tell me a little bit more about how you started, where that whole thing began, and how did you get to where you are today?
This takes us back to, I'm going to literally the year 2000. I graduated university, tried to get a job, didn't go well. Everyone, was looking for experience. And long story short, I took just a job at Epson, customer service, just to make the ends meet, you know what I mean? Sort of a thing. And this was like a 2-year period. Excuse me. And during that time, I actually, we were talking about opening up a business, a friend of mine and myself. So we started in my parents' basement. And over 6 months, we were able to actually make a profit and things were looking positive. So in 2002, we got a little office. We incorporated and we went into business officially. So started out of my parents' basement, literally. And ever since then, we scaled up. We got new offices, scaled, got employees eventually. And it's been a roller coaster ride ever since. So that was how it all started, believe it or not. And we started the business because wanted to do our own e-commerce business. So we kind of did the two at once. We did our own project and said, okay, let's open up a business doing this for others as well.
So it feels like for the majority of the time that you were doing this, you were a digital agency, an agency that offers not just logo or branding. It was part of, like you mentioned, like e-commerce, web design, and all of those things. At what point did you say we have to do more things with AI and start focusing heavily into becoming an AI agency?
That took place rather recently. So it's been 23 years since we were, officially incorporated, but now the AI focus is basically 2 years, less than 2 years, actually. I think it'll be coming up to 2 years in September. So let's call it 1.5 years ago. I took the stance to say, because our industry is massively competitive. I myself get cold calls probably 15 a day of people trying to sell me my own services. So it's crazy the amount of I'm going to call it stigma the industry has. Number one, because everyone's kind of like, oh, digital marketing is a scam and this and that, and uh, for good reason, because that's an example of all the cold calls that are happening all the time. And yeah, I just decided that, look, if I don't focus and leverage the AI as a tool for my business and also for my clients to really, serve all of us better, someone else will. That's really the reality. So I might as well take the lead. And that's when I decided we're going to deep dive into the AI and how to leverage this for myself and my clients.
Now, when you decided you will do this for yourself and for your clients, and when you started to see like you saw, like you're mentioning the shift and the things that were happening around 2 years ago, was there one thing that was like that is the aha moment? That was like the writing is on the wall. This is clear. That was it. This is what I needed to definitely move me in the direction of focusing heavily with AI.
For me, I don't think it was so much of an aha moment. I was resisting it for a long time, to be honest. I tend to get stuck in my ways. I'm Italian, so I'm a little hard-headed, you know what I mean? But yeah, I just I didn't want to, it's hard to learn something new and keep on, staying on top of what's latest and greatest. And I try not to get stuck into that shiny object syndrome kind of a thing, right? So, uh, that being said, I resisted it for a long time, but I don't, I can't remember any specific moment, but there is one person I actually follows. Probably, actually, no, I do have some examples. So, Billie Jean is Marketing is one of the coaches that I've learned from. They're an agency out of San Francisco, and they're like top of the top. He is the best client acquisition expert in the world, and he's awesome. You can check out his videos, massive following. So it was during one of his videos actually that he basically was talking about it, that look, if you don't take the lead on this and don't leverage it as a tool, because that's really all it is, someone else will. And unfortunately, they're going to outperform you every time if they use it properly. And it's kind of like in sports. I'll give a good analogy. Most people like sports. Why are steroids banned in sports? Well, I'll tell you why, because anyone that's using steroids properly will always outperform someone that doesn't. And there's been massive examples. This is why there's been cheaters and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's the example. Now it's like in business, you're crazy if you're not using AI, because now like the steroids part is legal. It's like you having a sports team and now you're allowed to use steroids. So why not take advantage of it? It's insane. So that's
Okay.
my spin on it.
Now, you're in your experience and in your mind, everything that you've seen, you're saying like you're crazy, man. You're crazy because not using it because it's literally like steroids and it's legal, and you have a competitive advantage that is unfair versus someone that is not using AI at all. If someone hears that and is in the position that you were a couple of years ago, resisting it, because that's really what it is. You're trying to resist it because is it new things I need to learn? Is it a shiny object syndrome? You really don't know what is it. If you are sitting across someone, you're like, I need to show you what it really is for like AI and how it is used as a tool. What are the first steps that you would say, look, man, sit next to me. Let me show you first steps where you can start practically applying AI in your business so you can see the benefits of it.
The funny thing is, I'm before I answer that question specifically, I'm going to go back to your previous question because now I remember exactly one of the triggers going back to your previous question, and it ties in with the answer to this question as well. But one of the things that I think triggered me to say, "Oh my God, I've been looking at this the wrong way," is when I'm pretty sure it was Billy Gina's Marketing, one of his videos. He mentioned we've already been using AI for years and years and even decades, and the simplest example of that is just spell check. Everyone uses spell check, whether it's on a Microsoft document or whether it's on your phone. You're doing a text message and it's auto correcting you. That's AI, guys. That's all it is. That's a simple example of it, of course, but that's an example of how it makes your life a little bit better. You don't even need to spell the word properly. You just got to get somewhere close to the spelling of it, and it'll pop up for you and tell me we haven't used that and tell me it has not been beneficial. So that was the point where I said to myself, "Oh my God, I need to." I've been looking at this wrong first of all, and when you look at it from the spell check perspective that I just gave, it's simple that it benefits you. Now you just got to learn to use it properly, right? So, to answer your most recent question, now, if you understand that we've already been using it, it's just an evolution of that. Now we can use that even more. So I'll simplify it as well. I think there's genius in simplifying the complicated. So my simplification is this: just take what you're already doing and automate it. And maybe when we apply AI properly, we can automate it to do it even better than you have been doing. And that sounds like a little bit insulting sometimes, but it's just true. It's objective. And literally, that's how simple it actually is. Take what you're already doing and automate it.
So it feels like the first step is to take what you do, automate it, and then inject AI into the process to see the outperformance every single time. Now,
You
when we're
got it.
talking about practical application as someone that has a digital agency, you have like you've mentioned, you do the full service and you're focusing on creating a business that becomes into like a lead gen powerhouse. How do you introduce AI into a regular business to transform it into a lead gen powerhouse?
I would first start by asking them what are their biggest problems, issues, challenges. So, and usually it looks like it's a sales problem. Everyone wants more sales. So, if that's the target, that's the focus, then I would prescribe something like, okay, so we got to drive sales. That's the goal. That's the objective. We need to make sure you show up where your audience is searching for you or your services or your products. So when it comes to local businesses, as an example, we focus heavily on their Google business profiles. So I'm going to make any business up right now, a dentist, right? So dentists rely on their local population as their potential and existing clients. So when one of the biggest ways people will find out about a dentist that is near to where they live is they'll go to Google and type in dentist near me when they have a toothache or if they need cleaning or something like this. And if you're showing up when people are searching for you, if you're a dentist in this case, on your Google business profile, there's only 3 spots available. So the competition is high and fierce. So if you're showing up there when people search for teeth cleaning near me or teeth whitening near me or dentist near me, etc., children's dentist near me is very popular because I work with a lot of dentists. This allows you to get that visibility. So they're going to eventually click on your Google business profile and make an appointment to see you for service. So that's, starting with what their challenge is. And then we would prescribe something, let them show up where their businesses are searching for them. And then in addition, there's other things as well. We call it speed to lead, basically the ability to make sure when someone is reaching out to your business, you're able to respond to them as immediately as possible. And I'm sure you'll agree, Zivko, the stats show it's just objective. The faster you reply back to that person inquiring about solutions or services you offer, the better chance they will actually become a client. And in this case, if they have a toothache and someone's searching for dentist near me and they call and the phone goes to a voicemail, for example, because their existing receptionist is on another call, what's going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're not going to wait around for that call. They're going to call the next person. So that capability to have speed to lead and make sure there's no calls that go unanswered, to make sure if there's a web chat, there's ability 24/7 because sometimes people are searching at nighttime and there's no one there to respond. How about having an AI voice assistant answer phone calls after hours too? The stats show there's 23% of potential missed revenue when businesses miss their after hours phone calls alone. And so, yeah, that speed to lead aspect of it, that can be done through web chat. That can be done through quick email replies that are done through automation, through your AI agent or assistant. The voice, having someone answer phone calls 24/7. Great for emergency services like plumbers, as an example. You got a leak in your house at 2 in the morning. You need someone to get there now. So these emergency plumbers charge large for this, and they need to answer calls. So now imagine having that capability 24/7 on automation, and it can do all functions that a person can do. So it can send a text message immediately out to the technician that's going to go on site, and it could just start any process again, it's just an automated process that you are already doing, but now we're automating it for efficiencies. And
So
if I talk too much, just stop me. Hey, say, Ron,
no,
shut up now and
no, this
let's
is
move
this
on.
is
But I think it makes sense, right?
it's good to see how it's applied and what are the most
Yeah.
the most use cases that you're doing it because the way you're explaining it is the automation is already there, and what I want to break down is how does the AI work and what is this fear factor of people that are afraid. And it feels like what you're saying is even if you had, let's say, a hunger group, so that if someone calls, it get rings, the phone keeps ringing to different people, and maybe there's like 1 or 2 receptionists, eventually goes to voicemail. And what I'm saying here, you have that process. What I can set up is an AI agent, which AI and AI agent are 2 different things. AI is part of the AI agent. And I can set up this voice AI agent that it rings, it rings, and rings. It will not go to voicemail. It will be picked up by a voice AI agent, which are not like what you heard, like the robotic old ones. they are pretty good. And you can even say that this is a assistant voice agent, then he can do all the stuff, and then he can notify. And if in the case of a plumber, it can clearly ring, and then it can say that this is an assistant, a voice agent, an assistant or something. What is your phone name? What is your full name, address? Do you need someone right now? And then that is transferred as a message directly to a plumber who might get a bunch of calls. Some might be spam calls, some might be whatever, but now he will get notified only for the ones that he really knows are hot leads, prospect, like speed to lead, like you were saying. And
Exactly.
that's what you're saying. This is how the AI technology is inserted into your existing automations to take it to the next level.
You got it. And these are just simple examples. There's a million ways that it can go. The AI assistant agent can literally do anything, meaning it can book into a calendar. So if you're a salon, it can book an appointment for your hair. If you are a dentist, it can book appointments for cleaning or checkups, things like that. If you are an emergency plumber 24/7 where someone needs to come out now, it can transfer your live call to someone. So this way, at least calls come through someone's live phone, even if they're sleeping, it rings, they know it's an emergency call, they got to get up. At least it's a qualified call now. The agent will have ensured that unless they qualify, they won't transfer the call over. So there's so many ways you could use it and customize it.
So it feels like the most common application that you can see the fast impact is in customer service, customer support, because if someone is calling or ringing, it can handle that, and you can start having reduction in expenses that you don't have to have someone 24/7 sitting there and waiting, or you don't have to have a VA sitting and waiting. Now an agent can sit and do that, and you can prompt it so that it clearly says it's an agent, so no one feels like I'm being lied to or something like that. And the second component would be the sales component of someone showing interest and then being routed into the right person if it's an emergency for a plumber or for someone then taking it to the next kind of prospect. Now, those are two fantastic examples where someone can see impact right away. What you were mentioning also was the chat. You mentioned something about the chat on the websites and this new approach that you have, which is called smart websites. What is the difference between the website that 90% of us have, and what is the difference between a smart website?
Great question. Smart website is basically an instant conversation by just clicking a button with an AI assistant through voice. That's what I define it as. So it's similar to an AI chatbot on the website that can respond immediately and be very knowledgeable and do a really great job. But now let's take it one step further. For those of us that are really lazy, we don't even want to type out, right? Because that's really what we're doing. We're just clicking a button on a website, whether you're on a mobile version, desktop version, doesn't matter. And it automatically will just start speaking in, any language as well too. So now, again, let's say I'm going to use the same boring example, a dentist, right? The evolution that we're going to see across all websites are these smart websites, and this is how it will look. You're going to visit a website, in this case, it's a dentist, and you want to book an appointment. So traditionally now we either, two options. We click their phone number, it'll dial, we got to speak to one of the receptionists if they're available. Number two, you fill out a form. Maybe number three, you speak on the chat bot if they have one. Now with these smart websites, you will go to the website, there'll be a big button here. It'll say, speak to Eric, our AI assistant. So you click on it and it'll say, hey, hi, I'm Eric. How can I help you? Thanks for, contacting ABC Dentist. And then you'll be like, oh, Eric, I got a really bad toothache. I need to see a dentist as soon as possible. Oh, no problem. Sorry to hear that. This is this and this. We have something available. Earliest is this afternoon at 4:30. Does that work for you? Yes, book me in. What's your name? It'll do the intake and book that appointment. So whatever you would traditionally do, and again, these are things you're already doing. I showed you before what it looked like, but now it'll be just one click when you visit a website. And I think the evolution is going to be like this. Everyone's website, from being so extravagant now, it's going to simplify to just that one button. So you're going to go to any website and it'll be like nothing. They're not even, just click the button and speak to it just like you would a human.
So you're seeing it as a massive streamline to the second point that you mentioned is like the website becomes just a button because on once you have this option to click and talk, so you don't have to type, click and talk. You don't have to go through the services page. You don't have to go through About Us page. You can ask it and it can tell you anything that is on these pages. You don't have to navigate it. You don't need to worry about a navigation menu. You don't need to worry about how that looks on a cell phone or on a laptop or on a big screen. You're focusing on just talking with the AI agent that is on the website. Therefore, like you're saying, the whole website just becomes in essence like a button. And if you are already having some sort of a web chat, like a chatbot, those usually they would start talking with you to collect information and transfer it to a person. And that's why we didn't want to do that. We always, at least I'll speak for myself. I would just like talk to a real person because I know what you're trying to do. Like, it doesn't matter what my
Yeah.
email is. It doesn't, I have a problem. I'm trying to explain it to you. You keep giving me FAQs. Then now I need to go through an FAQ. Like, it's not the solution. It really isn't because I looked at the FAQ before I clicked on this one. I think this was a disconnect for a huge portion of the time. So now you're saying the web chat with an AI, the smart ones, it doesn't just collect the information. It talks with you and does the action. It will book the call. It can pass you through a real person, but it can also book the call. It can also set the appointment. It can pull the pricing for whatever you're looking for, deliver the pricing, and if that looks good, then I can book you. And this is what you're saying. This is the AI tool. This is
You
the, like
got it.
you had the web chat. We included now AI, and that's the steroids. That is what is all performing.
You got it. And people might think there's limitations. Well, how's this going to work? How's that going to work? I'll just, again, let's use the same Borg example. What kind of services do you offer at the ABC dental thing? Like, I want to learn more about your services. No problem. Give me your email or your phone number and I'll send you a link right now. It can literally be that sophisticated. So again, you don't even need to search anything. You want to learn a little bit more about the company history. It'll text you a link if you want. And then you can just click that link and it'll be all right there for you. Or, you could upsell people or give them promotions right on the spot where you can train the AI assistant to say, you know what, you sound very interested. If I were to give you a 10% offer, would you buy today? Yeah, I'll text you a link right now. Valid for, until midnight tonight only. And the AI can be programmed to offer this link that gives a 10% discount that expires at midnight. So they take action immediately. So these are cool things that you could do that really, again, move the needle and could become your best salesperson.
Now, what happens when someone, let's go back to the dentist. We'll use the dentist throughout the whole time. This dentist says this is good. Like, I like what I'm hearing, but I'm afraid it will give it wrong information. I'm afraid it will commit me to what is not. And right now I have full control over that because it's a person who will take the call. Um, how do you show that there are guardrails? How do you provide that it will have some sort of a fail switch or something like that so that it doesn't put you in that situation because people would go back to the hallucination, which is more in generative AI. It's not really in this process. How do you explain to someone to show them this is why the margin of error you're comparing it to a person here is smaller?
Absolutely. It's a huge part of where the concerns come from in terms of my clients that I've worked with, anyways. So, number one, I always recommend highly that we let them know, disclose that it's AI. And this eliminates 99% of the issues right off the bat. There's no reason not to disclose that. And I think, there's also situations where you don't even need to say that. You could just say, hi, this is Sarah from Parker Landscaper or something like that. And the only time where I feel it is required in terms of integrity and based on the context of the conversation. So let's say it's a mortgage broker. I like to use this example. And now you're going to start talking about certain recommendations. You want to state, hey, by the way, I'm Sarah, I'm an AI assistant. I'm going to give you the best knowledge I have. However, you're going to need to speak to an actual mortgage advisor to verify, confirm, I don't know, just some sort of a disclaimer. Let them know that you're actually getting this information from an AI assistant, and to, either seek legal advice or speak with an actual mortgage broker in that case, whatever it may be. So the context will dictate if it should be disclosed. And I think there's no reason you shouldn't disclose it. It actually just makes the conversation so much easier. And when something happens where it's, an anomaly where it's not a good response that the AI gives, the person on the other end is much more forgiving and understanding for some reason. Whereas, going back 6 months ago, it wasn't like that. People were very cautious and suspicious, when having these conversations. Whereas now you let them know, hey, this is I'm Rob, an AI assistant. It's just the best way, and that's what I would recommend.
Disclose information up front.
Yeah.
Outside of the customer service, customer support, the AI agent, and talking with agents and using them on smart websites. If you go into different directions, let's say if you are going into sales, which there's a lot of trust levels, you need to build a lot of trust, and of course you're disclosing it's an AI agent or something like that. What are the enhancements you can do with AI in sales, in cold outreach, in warm outreach, and anything in sales?
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. We can agents are defined as, some like a system that takes care of one specific task. So you could have one agent that just, is really focused on follow-ups. You could have one agent that is, really good at first cold outreach, and then you could combine all of these kind of together in different workflows, right? So I hope I'm answering the question there, but literally sky's the limit. And, I tried to give two examples there.
So it feels like you're saying, when you're analyzing your sales process for your company, think of agents as being able to complete one task. And before, you would need to code this, you would need to give it a lot of rules, if this, then that statements. And now with AI, you don't have to do that. You can just say, this agent does, let's say, follow-ups. This does first outreach, let's say through cold email or through whatever. And the AI is the brain of the agent. So you don't need to code it anymore. You can just kind of, with normal language, explain it, do this. And then one agent passes on to another one, passes on to another one. And
exactly,
you create a chain. So therefore, it's not like AI doing sales. You start to make agents.
Yeah, that's how, most people refer to it. Another way that you could technically call an agent is like a workflow. Some people may understand that better. So workflows are very common today, and yeah, that's really what I'm going to define an agent as: basically a workflow.
Oh, it's just in essence a workflow 2.0, where it has AI in it, but that's what it would really be at the end of the day.
Very sophisticated, of course, because it can literally do and think and analyze, and based on analysis, it can determine if someone is happy and they want to move forward, or if they're not happy and if they're irate or whatever it is.
When you're making these agents, I want people to kind of see and start putting pieces to the puzzle together. Do you go into a business, and when you analyze, do you start looking at workflows and agents where they can be pieced to enhance the operation for the person? Are you looking for efficiencies in the business? How should businesses look at agents? What is the right approach? Enhancing employees, cutting costs, reduction. What is the best approach to have the most success?
Great question. I would start small, and it's kind of like a series of steps. So let's say, you're looking at a staircase. You're not going to start on step 5. Obviously, you start step 1, step 2. So the first thing I would recommend is start with the easy things that I know every business needs that could be automated. So what does that look like? The speed to lead. So making sure phone calls are never, missed or going to voicemail, making sure emails are always replied to quickly, text messages are replied to quickly, direct messages on social media. Those are the bare bones. And then even review requests when someone after the fact, they've paid a business for money, they should receive some sort of outreach, either via email, text, or even phone call. How do we do? How can we do better? And if they indicate that they're happy, they should get a review request offer of some kind to say, hey, leave us a Google review. We'd appreciate it, and or something like that. Or maybe you have a contest. Every month we select a new Google review and give $100 gift card. I don't know, something to promote or influence that. And so that's like the stepping stone, or the first step, the easy things that you're already doing. Then number two, I would recommend is like doing a mapping or an audit of what you're already doing. And any business has, intake kind of that they need to do with their clients, and then every business needs to collect money. So we can, and then there's operational things in between there, right? But I would look and map out their systems, processes, and then identify where we can easily automate, right? So someone, for my business, client onboarding, someone fills out one form, I can automate the whole intake process and accounts receivable based on just one form fill. And that saves, 45 minutes per client, and that starts to add up. And then the accounts receivable, everybody needs to collect money. The dentist example is a great one, because there's insurance, and then there's the part that the leftover that they got to pay, and then there's a lot of follow-up that needs to be done. So we can automate that whole process as well. So yeah, I hope that makes sense.
It does, because you're saying depending on each business, but you would start with the basic. The first one that you will always start is cover, so that any let's say just like client or customer query, if it's phone, email, DM, make sure those are answered so nothing slips through the cracks. That's like your basic first one. And then start looking at some of the operational, when it comes to like invoicing and onboarding, maybe stuff like that.
And you know what I just remembered? I wanted to add one more thing, that because you mentioned, and then does that replace people? So once you implement this, I don't feel that you should be, the object or goal is to replace people. I think you reallocate them to be more effective and productive. So instead of doing I'm going to call them unprofitable, or actually the less profitable activities, you automate them, and then you reallocate them to do things that are more profitable and relevant to your business and actually produce better revenue. Sometimes it may lead to letting people go if there's just, if it's, I guess everything needs to be determined case by case, of course, right? But I think the overall goal should not be to replace, it should be to reallocate and create better, more productive team members.
Yeah, and people. The way that I see it is like this is what I said to the team as well. I'm like, think of it as if we're sitting here, it's 1994, and someone comes up to us and says, look, we're gonna talk about this computer, and we will need to use a Word document. And then someone throws a hissy fit that, okay, what about the papers? I won't have physical papers. What do you mean they'll be on a floppy disk? And then fast forward 20 years, and that just sounds like a funny story. The idea is that it doesn't replace it, but if before we use a pen and a pencil, and all of a sudden we haven't touched the pen and a pencil unless to sign something for the bank, and the rest is just done on a keyboard. This is the idea. The efficiency is getting better. So if you ask someone, can you respond to the emails? If you give them an AI chatbot to take the email and create a better answer, and they can kind of just tweak it, now you're writing emails faster and better. You're not replacing the person. Now, on the other spectrum, when it comes to cost efficiencies, how this plays in, it sounds like you're saying if someone is the less profitable tasks, if someone is just filling out spreadsheets all day long, copying, pasting, you can allocate them somewhere else. They shouldn't be filling out the spreadsheet all day long, copying, pasting. And that was a very normal thing 5 years ago. That was you had literally someone all day just data entry, and now you're saying data entry can be included in your workflow. Put the AI funnel or the AI piece, and that will do. The agents will start doing your data entries.
You got it. And now that person, instead of doing that 24/7, all they're doing is they're double checking what the automation does to make sure there's no errors. And that's much easier than doing all
Yeah.
that tedious work. And maybe that's only 25% of their job now. And then the next 75%, they're doing business development or they're handling social media content, like something more productive for the business.
Now, we talked a lot about what it feels like. I want people to get out of this is the way you would use AI in your business is to enhance the performance and efficiencies. It's not to replace, and it's not some new thing. It's you had a workflow, uh, bolt on it AI, and you will get a much better outcome, just like what you're saying, steroids for athletes. But we never talked about in this whole thing about generative AI, the one that you have the deep fakes. You would have, is art taken? Is it created? Is it hallucinating? The creating the posts with the journey of the magical, the M dashes that are very popular, or the emojis that it creates. How do you feel about businesses using generative AI?
I think it just takes it to the next level. I think there's use cases for it that are amazing, absolutely, because now not only can it give you, for example, strategy, it could actually create the video, it could create, like it could do everything multi-purpose across the board. Whereas before it was kind of like you had to use one tool for this, one tool for that. So yeah, I think it goes both ways. It can be used maliciously as well. It can be used for good as well. So
And
yeah,
would you say if someone is using generative AI, let's say for SEO strategies, because you're in the space and because you do it all day and every day, do you see some of the tech companies, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, do they penalize using AI in SEO, penalize using AI automations on their websites for DMing, penalizing for using AI to create the videos and the content and publishing on their platforms? And the reason I ask this question is if someone says, I'm going to go all in and starts, that is 100% their content, how will that impact what they do?
I think there's definitely situations I've experienced where it looks like AI content is less favored than original user created content. And does it actually penalize AI directly? I think a big part of it would like the best way to answer that is more yes than no. But in the end, it's the fundamentals that just using AI goes against. And I'll give you an example. So SEO, one of the biggest factors, signals that Google looks for is how people interact once they're on your website. So how long they stay on your page, how many pages they go through, and how quickly they'll bounce out to a different competitor.
Yeah.
So AI tends to create, I guess, really crappy content if it's not used well. Like if you just give it garbage input, you're going to get garbage output. So that would cause people when they come to your website to not stay there long, to not go through those multiple pages because the content is just, that generic AI created content. So, and then someone says, "Oh, I used AI to create the content on my website." They're penalizing AI specifically when really it's going against the fundamentals of what Google's looking for in the first place. So,
You're
yeah,
it feels like you're trying to explain to someone your when you say garbage in, garbage out, your prompt engineering. Spend some time to
you
learn
got
that
it.
and do some tests. And
You
then you
got
can
it.
say, because some of the we did this with some of my, I call them business buddies. All we have in common is business. Take that out, maybe we won't talk to each other. We started looking at these generated images, and if it's not people, if it's B-roll, it becomes really hard. Last year I would have detected it easily, but now it's becoming really hard to detect. So this is what I mean by it sounds like it's down to your prompt engineering. So maybe spend more time there, do tests, see how it looks like, because it's really overwhelming. The first time I remember showing it to my wife, the first time press the button and it writes the full post or blog, that feels overwhelming. But if you start reading it, this is where you start to notice, and that is your prompt engineering, starting to
Yes,
do
you
those
got it. You
steps
got
and
it.
maybe not load the whole. one blog, but like piece by piece by piece by piece, and then kind of combine the whole thing. This is what you're saying. Is AI penalized? No. Is bad content penalized? Yes. Did you produce bad content with AI? Yes.
Yeah,
And
there
this is
you go.
the
There you go. There you go.
got it.
Yeah.
So
And if I were to give my recommendation, let's say you're writing website content, because we talked about that as the example, I would 100% get AI to do like the 80%. And then you, as your own content creator for your website, or whoever is the content creator, should revise it with that last 20%. Put your special touch on it.
yes. Now, what are some like let's say someone listens to this and they're like, I like what I'm hearing. This is interesting. I was resisting it, but now that you guys explain it to me as a bolt-on to all the stuff I had and taking it to the next level, they're very excited. What are the first tools that you would recommend to someone to start looking at to kind of understand what this means and how that might look like? What are some of your favorite tools for AI to show to someone to say, hey, go here, try this, try this, try these. These are the first ones you should kind of look at.
So, social media, let's start there. Everyone wants to be on there, but they either hesitate because they don't know how to create it and it's time consuming. They got to learn all these different tools and platforms, etc. So, if there was a tool, which there is, that you could use for social media to, easily create content that is branded, that, literally takes you less than a minute every day, there's no reason you as a business owner should not be creating this content. If there's a 1 minute daily commitment for you to create something decent, I'm not saying it's going to go viral and you're going to be a superstar overnight, but you got to get visible. You got to create that visibility, right? So the first step is to start just creating content. So having a tool that you could, like I said, spend less than a minute a day, create content across multiple platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Google Business Profiles, Twitter or X, TikTok. And why wouldn't you do that? It's insane if you did it. And now if you just spend 10 minutes a day, maybe you're making 10 posts a day using this tool, which is what I would recommend as a bare minimum. This is like we're able to post for free. So if you have a tool costs you less than $50 a month to use this tool, why would you not use it? That's an easy way to start. And you either do it yourself as a business owner or you get someone from your team. And if you're using AI, like I said, to reallocate that time, you're not even spending more to get someone to do it now. You've saved 75% of someone's time through some other automation. Now you get them to do your social media, and yeah, so social media is a good one. Then the speed to lead is also huge for me. If you already have business coming in, and this is not for startups or businesses that don't have incoming leads, but if you do have incoming leads, like I said, you could probably on average get up to 23% more revenue. And this usually hits to businesses that are making $30,000 a month or more. So that would be kind of like my average definition of who this would be for. But if you're a business like that, it makes total sense to implement speed to lead and also the capability to handle after hours calls, the ability to handle calls when you're on the phone. And if you're a business owner wearing many hats, when you're on job sites or whatever, like if you're a dentist, you're working too, right? So you can't handle all the calls. So don't miss calls, don't miss emails, don't miss direct messages or text messages, web chats, automate that kind of stuff. And yeah, 24/7 capability to answer phone calls is huge. So why not? Those
Those
are
would be
kind
the
of like the starting points.
starting point, the social media one. And I feel like most of the popular tools have AI built in it, like Hootsuite or Sprout Social or
You
whatever.
got it.
And then when it comes to speed to lead, would you say to someone they should go with something that is already kind of pre-built to a degree, or should they go N88 or Relevance AI? How far should they go into the tech stack? Where should they start if this is a new endeavor for their business?
Great question. The options are endless. There's new things coming out every day. It's overwhelming for me even. So I can appreciate like you don't know where to start. Simple. Start simple, and I would start where there are experts that can help you specifically. So if you're a business owner, you need to find someone like the Best Media or myself that has experience to take you to that first step. a lot of places are going to want to start you if this is a staircase on step 3 or 4 or 5, but you got to take it one step at a time. So based on your business, you work with an expert is what I would say. They're going to save you time. Sometimes you think, oh, it's expensive, but time is the most valuable resource, and losing time is more expensive. So, as a business owner myself, I want to buy time as much as possible, and that's what I would recommend too. So,
And
yeah,
it feels like on the time saving part, if you work with an expert, they'll tell you the right tools, they'll give you the templates they've implemented on other places. It's faster to start it, it's faster to go, as opposed to you hearing about ChatGPT $200 a month that has operators, and all of a sudden you don't know what to do there. If you go with an expert, they will say, this is what we're going to use, this is your tech stack, here are templates you can start using right away, because they are, like, again, these agents, you can save them and reuse and change
exactly.
them per business need, and that is the fastest way. And after all that, the tech stack and that cost will be the same whether you do that alone or with an expert. It's how fast you're up and running. That's kind of the difference.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
Roberto, we cover all these things, and I feel like people are, they're saying, I like it, man. I like what you're saying. I am a believer. You've changed my mind. How do people get a hold of you to work with you?
For me, it's easy. Thebestmedia.com, thebestmedia.com. And that's my website. You can get a hold of me there anytime, or you can call, I'll drop even, I'm going to give you my mobile number. You can call anytime and text me anytime, 647-527-3153. I want to make myself available. And eventually you're going to be speaking to my AI assistant. But yeah, give me a call anytime. Visit my website, and I'd love to work with anybody that's interested.
Amazing, Roberto. Thank you so much for opening our eyes, kind of demystifying this AI and agent space, and giving us real life examples of how someone can implement it into business and start to use it without feeling scared, without feeling like I'm going to cut people, but enhancing the business. And like you said, it's like unfair advantage being on steroids. It, like, why not? Why not do it? So I appreciate your time, and I appreciate sharing all that information with us.
Amazing. I thank you for your time as well and having me. It was great.